Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Gen V Season 2, Episode 5. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Okay, so picking up with a correction, I left this in a comment last episode, but I was so adamant about thinking that Cypher, because I think I had it early in my head that he might be a bloodbender, and that when the reveal of his powers happened, I was so sorry, oh, he's a bloodbender. It's like, no, the obvious answer is he can mind control people and take control of their body. That's the super obvious answer, but I was an idiot about it. I said, you can laugh at me for my idiocracy. This episode leads even more credence to it, and what also kind of adds credence to that was like, right, I skimmed crap, like on my recommended videos, I got recommended like a New Rockstar video, and they showed like Cypher's dad saying like, oh, he's the one really in control. I was like, huh, interesting. I didn't really think much of it until we saw the opening of this episode. I was like, oh God, that's so right. He's in control. We don't know if Cypher is actually that guy's son or not. And whether that, like, we don't know. Like, he could just be some random guy for all we know. But now it also answers why Marie registered him as a human. It's because Cypher is actually human. The body is human. It's just he's being mind controlled by another suit. The guy in the, like, the fact is he's, like, taking care of the guy the way he does. I mean, it's like, sure, that's like a son taking care of his father. But there's certain moments throughout the episode, like, jumping ahead, like when Sage and him are having sex, she's looking at, quote unquote, Cypher's dad. So it's like, yeah, they're in this together, which, like I said, I'll get to in a second. But that's what this is all like. He's in control. Like I said, whether or not that's actually his son or whether that's some random guy playing the role of his son, because he's only really said that to. I mean, it also makes sense why you can't find much about him, because there probably isn't much to know. Like, who knows how long he's been in control of Cypher's body and stuff like that. Like, he's been his meat puppet for God knows how long. So that answers some interesting questions. But the introduction of Sage was fascinating. First and foremost, her bringing the gnome as like a housewarming gift, because it's supposed to be it's supposed to fit that. Also, it's just ironic because that's the same gnome that guy fucked a couple episodes back. So that's funny. But they've been working together. This scene in conjunction with the one later on in Elmira, it's so fascinating because I was not expecting Sage to show up, but like she is continuing to be this final arcing thread for like the boys. Obviously, like, you know, she's set up for like the next phase at the end of season 4. And what role Marie plays in all of this, because even Cypher's like, if Homelander finds out how powerful we're planning on having Marie be, it's going to be an issue. And she's like, don't worry about it. She's got Homelander wrapped around her finger. After everything she pulled last season, he'll never doubt her again. He'll trust her wholeheartedly, which will be his blind spot. And it is the funny thing, time and time again, that rightfully so, women continue to be his undoing, because he's a scary piece of shit that deserves to be like screwed over. But time and time again, it's the women that he thinks he has control over continue to have control over him until he breaks the shackles, which usually ends with him, attempting to murder them and yada yada, so on and so forth, right? So it's all about control for him, because he doesn't like being puppeted and being controlled, but he continues to be puppeted and controlled because he refused to believe anyone has the upper hand over him. So, because that was also the thing, like, and Marie had said that, like, oh, stronger than Homelander, but it's like, yeah, we all know Homelander would never want anyone stronger than him. He doesn't even appreciate anyone smarter than him, which, Sage called him out. So it's, like, interesting bringing back, like, kind of these parallels and threads in that capacity, but it's because this isn't Homelander's plan. This is Cypher and Sage's plan, because Sage made it seem last season the reason why she did everything she did, she's like, oh, just to see if I could do it. It's like she was biding her time, orchestrating everything so that her even waiting around for it makes you just, I'm so curious, like, because obviously they met up a month ago. There was already a connection because they were already banging it out. Even the whole like, oh, hit me harder, and then they like get to it. because I guess it's like I need to feel something, anything at all, anything to kind of make me feel like I'm feeling something, so I can like really feel it when we do it, I guess. But this has to be about Cypher, once again, the guy in the tube. It has to be about him, like, recovering what he was. Like, I guess without, like, that thing, like, he can probably only live outside of that tube for so long, and he needs Marie to basically heal him. Like, they say near the end of the episode, like, Marie's supposed to be the salvation of all soups. In what capacity is unclear, but I'm so curious what they have planned for her. And so that must mean Marie must play a pivotal role in the ending of The Boys as well, then. If like Sage has got this like part of her operation and stuff, maybe this technically counts as part of phase 2 of what she's doing, with Homelander running things. I mean, they had that whole point last season about like, you know, Caesar and everything, and then people pointed out, it was like, well, Caesar died with a getting stabbed in the back, and it's like, well, here's Sage potentially stabbing him in the back, so bringing it all full circle to be like, no, this is this brings that Caesar metaphor and an analogy kind of to its proper conclusion. So I don't know, that's just interesting, for that to be like the opening an episode and just kind of get your mind wondering about everything. So, but putting that aside, the episode continues with the aftermath of the fight between Jordan and Marie, with her being the victor and obviously being asked a question about like, oh, now that you've done this, how does that make you feel? Like, it's like, oh, like Jordan was in the male form to give them like an advantage and came out on top. Like, how do you feel about transgender fighters? And it's like, oh boy, of course that was gonna, like, someone's gonna throw that question towards you. Of course that was going to be used as ammunition to kind of start that conversation. But it's this really heartbreaking moment where like Jordan's pissed because it's like, I was still there. I was basically put in the passenger seat of my own body. I could see everything. I could feel everything. I was aware. It's just I couldn't do anything because Cypher was in control. And her, like, them being feeling like I've never felt powerless, because Jordan's always been able to shift whenever they want to ever since they were younger. Obviously, like they were hampered by the fact is they never wanted to because they were afraid anyone would find out. But it's like for so many years now they've been able to freely shift to be whoever they want to be, and now you have this whole deeper thing of like, for the first time in forever, like that control was taken from me. Even when I couldn't shift whenever I wanted to, I still had the ability to choose when and when not to shift. That was taken from me. He forced me to shift. And it's just like that control of your own body, your own autonomy, like the layers to that conversation really are like that. And then like you add in like Jordan, how Jordan felt about what Marie did. It's like I could feel you almost tearing my body apart. It's like, it's one thing to feel like, okay, I was scared that I might kill the woman I love, and now on top of that, I'm scared that the woman I love was about to kill me. Like, how do you like deal with that? It's like, it was an unfortunate situation you were put in, but it doesn't make that any easier. It doesn't make that worry and that fear go away. Especially because like Jordan has a fear of being weak, and that's always been something they've been scared of. To be vulnerable, to be weak, and that's why they have such a tough exterior and are not often vulnerable. Except we've definitely seen even more vulnerability from Jordan this season. And you add in like Cypher knowing how to like really stick it to people, like making Jordan feel weak and small, and it's like, oh yeah, like I could always like stick my hand up your pooper again and have control of you. That's me. Like, you're weak. It was so easy. Even later on, like trying to bring it home to Jordan, like, oh, like the reason why I chose you for the fight is because I knew you'd be the easiest to break. I knew you'd be the easiest to take control of because you're weak. And saying all of this was for the purpose of bringing Marie to her full potential, and it's like, oh, you have no idea what you're capable of, and it's like, you know, we're going to go right back to training, and I'm going to bring forth all your power. So also drops the nugget that Kate was sent to Elmira. Someone had to pay the consequences, so it had to be Kate. And It's like, yeah, that's the irony of like, oh, now Kate has been sent there to go through what you guys go through. And we hear a little bit from Marie, like when she talks about it later on what they all went through. She says like she was to the point she wanted to cut herself to the point she'd bleed out. It'd be easier to die than rot away in that place. Emma was so like, even when they let Emma out of her cage, she still wouldn't leave because it was easier than like, she was too scared to. And even Jordan would so paralyzed that they would cry themselves to sleep. It's like, I heard you. You're like, oh my God, dude. Because this place demoralizes you and it breaks you down. Like, the fact is, they strip you of everything, your powers as a soup. They humiliate you. They beat you down into submission. They break you, like I said, physically and psychologically and mentally. It's meant to wear you down until you're like a husk of a person. And now, like, yes, there is poeticness in Kate going through exactly what she put them through, and trying to fight back just makes it worse for you because they're prepared for you. They had the collars to nullify your powers, and they will, like I said, beat you into submission or shock you into submission, and just make you feel like essentially you're not human, that you are an animal, less than an animal, So, in fact, you're just cattle, to be experimented on, to be watched. And that's just kind of like, that's got to weigh heavy on Kate, realizing like this is what she put them all through, that Andre died trying to get away from this place. And now knowing you're here, and even if you could get out, like your powers are a little wonky right now too. So Emma's coming from the perspective of, well, Kate deserves it, so we should leave her there. But Marie's like, no, after everything we've been through, like, that would make, like, how terrible would that make us? Like, sure, Kate sent us there, but we'd be so much worse leaving her there. And, Jordan's like, you didn't come back for a reason, because, like, coming back would have been a suicide mission. And Marie's like, yeah, but I still regretted it every day. And if we leave her there, are you saying that you be okay with leaving her to die? And if she died in there, would you be okay? And Emma's like, yes, no, fuck, fine, let's go. It's just so interesting because like Emma is a hero through and through, and even if she doesn't want to, even though she tries to deny it, all of them tried to deny it. Marie and her the most, but it's like the more you try to deny it, the more you end up trying to do the right thing. So I mean, I think that's also like the larger commentary on the boys itself, where it's like you try to do the right thing. Yes, there will be consequences for it, but this world is trying to teach you like you have to do the right thing for profit, for popularity, for position and stuff like that. Heroism isn't just for heroing to do the right thing. Doing the right thing is overrated. It's not cool. It's not profitable, So that's really, that's kind of always been like the thesis of the boys in a lot of ways, of just kind of like, it's not, but it's like, but the real thesis of it too is also like, to even as nihilistic as it is, there is that still hope of, but there are people out there doing the right thing. There are people who are true heroes, who stand up for what's right, who try to do the right thing, even though the system and the house is against them, and the house always wins, right? So, but obviously after Marie made her escape, which we found out how she did it, it's like, what was his name? Hershey something is Emma's nickname for him. But basically he died because Marie like took advantage of, like, he had like maybe cut himself shaving. Marie used it as an opportunity to get some blood and ended up killing the guy in the process when she made her escape. But then they like heavily fortified the place in response to that. So breaking in, even though from the outside it's like it most likely is a trap, they still need to go rescue Cade. So the only way through is through the gate that Andre died trying to break down. So they would need someone with super strength. And Emma calls Sam, but Sam went back home. And he's also kind of in a position of, fuck Kate. She's the worst, And even he kind of saying, like, I'm just as bad as Kate. But she's like, well, you're slightly less bad if you help us. But for him, it's like, having been locked up in facilities for so much of his life, of course, he's not going to be too keen on potentially breaking into a place that could lead to him being locked up again. I'm sure there's that. And especially because he's trying to get away from all that by being back home. his dad was a lot more receptive than I thought he'd be. He did talk about his mom being the least receptive of him and stuff, so that was really interesting. And I want to stay on Sam for a while, and then I'll pivot back to the Elmira breakout squad. But like, you could tell, like, his mom wasn't too keen on him being there, but like his parents are so happy to see him, and they're just like, his dad acting like everything's okay. They're sitting down watching, what was it, Avenue V or whatever, and they're just like laughing and stuff. And his mom has to like perform. She's like kind of scared and freaked out, but she puts on a smile and sits down with them. And Sam goes to their room, him and Luke's room, and you see like the dates of like when they were like measuring their heights. And I think 2012 was the last one. I mean, at some point you're gonna stop doing it, sure. But I think it is interesting that the last one, because Sam is younger, so it makes sense. But like, he was the last one on the markings. But I think it's interesting too, because you're like, we know at least 3 years prior to this, Sam was in Sage Grove. I don't know if they ever explain like how long he's been in there, but like, you know, you can make the argument like, okay, so maybe he was in a facility for that point on, but you could also be like, oh, that's the last time his kids, they bothered keeping their heights, because who cared? But I'd also want to know if it's indicative of just like how long Sam's not been home. Probably not. Like, I'm not saying he was locked up in Sage Grove that long, because 3 years might have been, well, up to a certain extent, and then like he was in the woods like the rest of the time. But I'm wondering, like, is it, like I said, is that indicative of anything? And then his dad brought him a box of stuff, including a Maeve doll, which was his sexual understanding tool. As he put it, it's like, oh, gross. But all his dad has is like baby stuff, because he's just like, he's like, oh, you were trying to forget me. So that kind of makes me feel like he's been in a mid facility for as long as he's like, ever since he was potentially little. I mean, because it is interesting that every time Luke saw his brother in like those visions, the little of his memories creeping through, it was Sam as a kid. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. Either way, but Sam feels like, oh, you guys forgot about me. You're just trying to make me disappear. But it's like, no, like, they told us you died. In fact, we actually, when we found out you were still alive, it's only because we saw you on the news. That's the only reason why we knew you were alive. And then we tried to see you, but they said you didn't want to see us. So Vought doing what it does best, it isolates people, because it makes it that much easier for you to be like succumb to the machine, you know, by isolating you from the people that could probably potentially pull you away. And then you have the whole situation of like, they also lost Luke too, which I don't know how much they know the truth behind that now, because like, they're probably like everyone else being fed the same BS stories that the public is being fed, right? So they don't know all that Sam went through, because all they said was like, oh, it was like some kind of error. They like mistakenly like classified someone else's dead body as Sam, yada yada yada. So at the end of the day, they're still in the dark about everything. And I think Sam's like, well, I can't really tell you everything, because I'm like not in a position to tell you like the truth about everything. So in the regards of like, I don't know if it'll do you any good knowing the truth, but seeing that his dad does care, it's like, right, you did try to see me, I didn't know that. So okay, so you guys do love me. And so he, you know, it's like, oh, like, measure me right now, it's been a couple years. But then he sees his mom on the phone, which is uber suspicious, because she's like, oh, I'm just ordering a pizza. I'm like, I don't believe that. But we'll never know, because Sam crushed the phone before you could actually check it. But for him, it's like, it just feeds into like him being like, you don't care about me, you're all puppets to Vaught, you don't even see it. He accidentally hurts his dad. Luckily his dad's okay, he didn't kill him. But and for his mom to come sit down with him in the swings later, I was like, okay, good. Okay, his mom is trying to extend an olive branch. And for Sam, he holds a lot of resentment, because it's like, you know, the conversation with so many heroes of, you injected me with V. I mean, obviously Marie found out the truth about herself, because for so long, you know, she had to come to terms with like, oh, my parents did this to me. But now it's like, well, they were just trying to have a child. So how much did they know in advance about her situation? You know, so Marie's situation's complicated. And Sam's mom talks about like, I do love you. It's just, you remember your uncle. He's like, yeah, he moved to Vermont. It's like, no, your uncle went to a store and he like had a loaded gun. Luckily, the police stopped him. But your uncle, he saw things, he heard things, and it's like, so Sam's condition isn't a byproduct of the V. The V's just amplifying what was already there. I mean, as we know, V does do that. As Butcher put it himself. It's like, with great power comes a great responsibility. With great power comes a great likelihood that you'll turn out to be a right cunt. If I'm remembering correctly, I might have butchered that line, but I'm in the ballpark. But it's like, yeah, like the V, and that's been the constant conversation. The V just amplifies what's already there. So if you were a piece of shit beforehand, well, it's, and like, look at Huey in season 3. What did it do? It amplified him, making him feel powerful. His always fear was, he was always afraid. He was always so, insecure and felt powerless, and it made him feel powerful. It plays into like, it plays into the worst parts of you. And I think the parallel is supposed to be like the super soldier serum. It just amplifies what's already there. That's why Steve, being who he is, was so spectacular, because everyone else got corrupted. Anyone else would get corrupted by the super soldier serum, but he didn't, because Steve's 1 in a million, right? So anyway, putting all that aside, so that's kind of a sad reality. And I love this show goes into it, like, The Boys touches on it too, but not to the extent, because we've never seen people like have like these mental disorders or situations associated with their abilities. So like Marie's need to cut herself, or Emma and the whole like throwing up or gorging herself to grow big. So I'm a correlate Sam's situation where like he assumed the V is the reason why he's fucked up, but it's like, no, he has a mental situation that was like, he was predisposed to this at a very young age. It showed that he has the signs of it. It's something from his mom's side of the family. So there's that. Then you have Emma, who was talking to Kate about how she thought, like, she's always had people tell her, like, and be worried about her, telling her to get help because they believe, like, she has an eating disorder. But she's like, I don't. It's just a byproduct of my abilities. And so her and Marie are in that same boat, and Sam too, where it's just like they're constantly making excuses despite these, like, mental disorders kind of associated with their abilities. They associate, because it makes it easier than kind of having to face the truth of, like, because Emma doesn't want to admit she has an eating disorder. She does. There's a byproduct of like self-loathing on her part, having no confidence. Her mom, I don't know if her mom's solely the product of that. Her mom definitely makes it worse. If her mom might not be the sole reason why that exists in her, but she definitely plays a role in it, a massive role in it. But Emma, that's why she's pushing so hard to get control of her powers, of like learning how to shrink and grow on her own without using food, because she thinks if she's able to accomplish that, she can prove people wrong. See, it's like, see, my powers, I can do it without, like, it's to prove people wrong that she doesn't have an eating disorder. And that's why, like, when she's not able to do it, it makes her feel even worse about herself, because it's like there's some aspect of her that knows it's true, but she's in denial about it. That it really is like, yes, you have your power, but you're associating your mental disorder with just solely your powers when they're not mutually exclusive. Not that they're mutually that they're one and the same, but it's like, no, those are two separate things. So I just think that's such a fascinating dichotomy, like taking that Sam situation at that point in the episode and then correlating that to the Emma situation later. So, but speaking of Emma, her, Marie, and Jordan break into the facility, but in fact it was a trap, and so quickly got knocked out, got injected, got locked up, and it's just like, and they're so freaking out because it's like, and even Emma's like, we're going to die here. We're back in this hell. It's like they never wanted to come back, but they came back for Kate, which for Kate, that means a lot. Knowing how much they hated this place, knowing that Andre died here, knowing that they came back for her sake, despite everything. It's like, wait, you did? Like, you guys hate me so much. You were going to leave me for dead, yet you still found it in you to try and help me. Like, that means a lot. So when Kate gets the opportunity, she breaks out, and she helps them break out too. But before that, you know, Sage came to Cypher and said like, "Oh, I have something." It's not till Marie was talking to Cypher where I was like, "Oh my fucking god, Annabeth!" I was like, "Of course!" I felt so stupid. I'm like, "What did Sage get?" I was thinking like, "Is it a trap because you know that Sam's gonna show up?" No, it's Annabeth because of course you get Annabeth because she will always be like a trump card you can play to get Marie to bend to what you want. And it's like, of course. I was like, wow. I was like, that sucks. That sucks so much, dude. I'd also skipped over it too. Like, let me deviate a little bit, and I'll circle back to this. But I also want to talk about the cipher and polarity of it all because Emma did let was it Greg know like, hey, if I'm not back, if I don't contact you in a day or two, contact Polarity. He's in on this with us. But Polarity had sat down with Cipher. Also, we get like it doesn't go into it, but that also explains like why he's grinding up his food is because he's doing everything he can just to sustain the body. Because like, why bother eating a meal when you could just like smoothie everything you need? Because it's not about taste; it's just about keeping that body alive and nourished. So who cares about it? However you're able to get it in the body, you get it into the body, and it's more effective. You don't have to sit there and like chew. 'Cause I was wondering, like, can you not control his bodily functions like that, and like specifically chewing or something like that? But I'm like, no, it's probably just effective, like just being effective and time. Efficacy of just like, right, let's just get it done, guzzle down, and we can move on. Who cares about taste when you are controlling the body and you can't actually like taste anything anyway? So it's all a moot point. But he was like, all right, let's cut to the chase, Polarity. Tell me what you really want to know. And it's like, well, why do you want Marie? He's like, well, I've always studied soups. So that potentially does lead to the conclusion that the because I was thinking like because of his burned skin, it might be the guy who was set on fire. But we know Godolkin was in that room. The room was on fire. There's chemicals in there. So I didn't even think about it. He probably has it's probably a similar situation to how well, if you've seen the most recent season of Invincible, season 3, we learned about Cecil's backstory. Might be a similar thing there. If you've seen that, you'll know what I'll say, without spoiling it. But like, that might be that, meaning that's Godolkin. I figured it could because I was like, oh, it's this guy Godolkin's kid. Like, that was a whole thing I had about Cypher. So, like I said, could really be Godolkin's kid, but because he did also go by the name Dr. Gold. So I was like, there's something there. So, but like I said, because of his skin, I assumed it was a guy that got burned, but maybe because of the fire and the chemicals, because he did pass out before he could pull the alarm, so maybe the chemicals burned his skin like that, or maybe it was from the fire, whatever the case may be. Godolkin, because he'd even said it like, I've studied a whole bunch of soups. I've always observed them. So, and he was always the one trying to push. I mean, the Odessa project was his to begin with. So it continues to be. It's just him orchestrating it from a tube in the shadows, going very like he's the Wizard of Oz in this particular situation, right? And so he was bringing that forth about Marie and how he's trying to bring forth all Soup's powers, and even says like the Andre thing wasn't an accident. It was like he put Andre in that position because it was an experiment, but it was too much for Andre's body and he died. And then in that moment, like Polarity took the knife and like was using his powers to like, he's like, go ahead, kill me, go ahead, do it. But then like Cypher grabs the knife and stabs himself in the hand, and it's like, yeah, why would he care? It's not his body, which in itself connects to a conversation where Jordan, like when he's trying to do everything he can to poke and prod at Jordan to like belittle them and make them feel weaker, Jordan says like, no, yes, I might be weak, but it's because you're in pain all the time. It's like, well, there was a connection. While you were in my body, it was a two-way street. I felt what you felt. And that shut him up. He didn't like that one bit that Jordan kind of got the upper hand on him in that moment. But it's because of his condition, he's always in pain. So you're like, interesting. And Jordan felt that in that moment. And that's one step closer to them finding out the truth about who he really is, that Cypher isn't who and what they think they are. I mean, he even told Polarity like, "Oh, you have no idea like what you're up against." Which, speaking of Polarity, we see his condition like severely get worse at the end of the episode. Everything in the room comes like all the metal objects come flying and stuff. You're like, oh, poor guy. Maybe Greg will find him when he tries to get in contact with him about everything, but it's going to be interesting to see where his story goes. Is there any reversing that, or is just like course has been set and his story is just going to end the way it's going to end because his condition's too far along? I don't know. We'll see. But either way, Cypher, to make a point to Marie, shows her Annabeth, which I didn't recognize her from the picture, but seeing her up close, I'm like, oh, Kia King. I was like, oh, that's wild. I was trying to remember. I was like, either Batwoman or Yellow Jacket season 1 was the most recent thing I think I've seen her in. But it's just kind of funny. Like these two siblings, Jazz, who plays Marie, was also in a different comic book property. Kia King has been in at least 2. She was in the Van Helsing show on Sci-Fi, which is loosely based on a comic book. And then she was in Batwoman on the CW. It's like, I don't remember her connection. I keep feeling like in my head, like she wasn't Ryan's sister, was she? I think she might have been. I don't remember. Because I remember Ryan being adopted, but I don't remember she had I feel like she did have like a younger sister in that too. No. She wasn't Ryan's sister. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, she might have been Sophie's sister, but it's kind of a moot point. My point is just like, once again, comic book connections and people being in other adaptations of comic book stuff that always just think it's interesting. But yeah, like Annabeth is being used as collateral, and Marie's just like, all right, he wants me to get more powerful. Cool, I'll do it, and I will kill him. But Kate managed to get them out. Once again, power's a little sloppy. Guard took the key to his eye instead of just letting him go. But the end result's the end result. Granted, you had to deal with like a bloody key through an eye. You had to shake the eye off. Got Emma out, got Jordan out, got Marie out. But then it's like, no, this is a trap. No guards show up. This is all a test. It's like, doesn't matter. Let's get to Annabeth. Oh, they killed her by slicing her throat. And Marie uses her powers, even though it seems like, because the way Jordan's acting, it's like, it didn't seem like it's not just she died. It seemed like she was already dead. Like maybe her heart had already, like I guess if you can get someone's heart beating again after having stopped for at least a minute, maybe that's what it is. But either way, Marie like tapping into her power started affecting everyone around her, but she was able to heal her sister's wound, close it, and bring her back. So, but like it was taking a toll. Like it was taking a toll even on her sister's body, because her sister started bleeding from her nose, as well as Marie herself. So, and having brought her sister back, it's like, no, that's like the only family you have left, like your blood family. So it's like, of course, Marie United, I'm not going to let you go again, So it's going to be interesting to see where things kind of go from there whenever they get an opportunity to talk. But this is all going the way Cypher wanted. It's just all about pushing and prodding and really making a point to push Marie to the next level. I was also halfway expecting, and this still could happen, but I was expecting Sam to show up. Like, I was like, after everything with his parents, I thought maybe that rally call him to like, or when things were bad between him and his mom, like after he hit his dad, I thought like, oh, maybe he'd run off and decide to help Emma. But that still could potentially pop up in the future. Like, he could be the one that ends up busting them out. Like, maybe he goes back to campus, finds out Emma and them never came back, and decides to end up helping. Like, maybe he joins forces with Polarity, and he's the way the door gets broken down fully. Like, maybe it's a combination of him and Polarity that lead to the door breaking down, and they break Emma out. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, we might also get... and Harper might be brought into the fray with this situation too, along with Greg. Who knows? We'll have to wait to see how it all plays out. There's also one final thing. I meant to bring this up earlier because I remembered it. Luckily, I was looking up something else just now and it clicked into my head. The Ashley conversation, because we have Sage back acting as CEO now, and it's like, oh yeah, because Ashley's in no condition to do that right now. So we're like, okay, so there are whatever situation Ashley found herself in after injecting V at the end of season 4. We now know, everyone knows about it, and whatever condition it is, it's probably an ugly situation for them to not want her to be the representative of the country in the current, so yeah, it's probably not good. It's probably going to be something effed and grotesque because, hey, it's the boys. A lot of stuff is effed and grotesque. So, yeah, just kind of an interesting little, like, wink and nod to that. It's like, man, oh man. Sadly, we're not going to find out until probably the season 5, at some point during season 5, like, what happened to her. But just kind of an interesting update to be like, oh, whatever her situation is, it's not like she had the powers and she bounced and no one knows. It's like they know, and they might be holding her somewhere, or maybe she's just kind of on quote unquote sabbatical right now, but they're trying to keep her out of the public eye because of her condition. That's my takeaway from it, but we'll have to wait to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us. We've got 3 episodes left in the season. I'm excited to see where everything takes us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.